hands on college football 25 yet?
What'd you say?
Did you get your hands on college football 25?
Oh, yeah, I've been on it all the time, playing online with Ohio State, trying to get some dubs early on.
How was the birthday?
Good day, had the family in town, so it was awesome to spend some time with them.
Harris, did you do anything different this offseason as you prepared for year 2? What was your point of emphasis in your training for taking over left tackle spot?
Yeah, I think just difference from year 1 to year 2 was just the extended amount of time I had just to lock in on a position I was going to be playing. Obviously, last year, coming out the draft, not knowing whether I was going to be playing left or right or where I was going to play guard even, during that whole training process, to now just spending all my moments, whether it's during OTAs or my free time during like the summer on my own, whether I'm training here, whether I'm training in California or something, just everything I do in the weight room, field recoveries, just getting my body prepared to play at the highest level just for this upcoming season, So that's a positive. Obviously, you know what I mean? I know where I'm going to be at, and I've had a lot of months at it, so I'm excited.
You seem like the kind of person that kind of naturally will be willing to lead, wants to lead. What was that like for you going through your rookie season where, maybe you're not showing all of your personality on a football team because you're a rookie and you want to kind of know your place early on? I mean, was that difficult for you at all?
No, I think I decided to come in with the mentality that, again, obviously I knew I was going to be a huge part of this team, just starting out my first year. But at the same time, I never wanted to be one of those guys that I come in my first year and I'm like, this is my room now, this is my thing, and these guys have been here for a long time, because the difference between the offensive line room and other position rooms where they don't have 1 to 2 guys, depending on the position on the field, this is the only position where I got 4 other guys with me. And I think being able to come in from a position of I am just one of the people in the room, you know what I mean, and that I want to be able to add to the room, and I want to be respected by the room before my leadership role just starts to develop and become more established, of being able to have more of a position, I guess, to verbally kind of have a commanding position in the room. You know what I mean? And I think it's all about respect, and that's kind of how I wanted to come in, like respectful, to where I want to show my presence on the field and how I show up to practice, how I show up on Sundays, versus just coming in and just talking out the gate, because nobody really respects that when they haven't spent that time with you on the field. And now I spent a season with these guys on the field. I feel like being able to earn their respect, just going to year 2, just continuing for my game to grow and for them to see that. But again, obviously being able to speak up a lot more, especially being at left tackle, it's just a whole different role. You know what I mean?
Tyler, the skill positions, the players, they got together recently and were working out in California. What's your thoughts on the potential of that group and just the idea that they're getting away outside the facility and working on their game?
I mean, I think it's awesome. Just those guys being able to spend that time together before the season. Because again, I think, especially as an offense, that's really been where my mind's been kind of noticing the trends. As far as our offense, can't really speak on a lot of other things, but in terms of like just the unity off the field, I think has been remarkable. Just the time spent away, I think obviously they could have did all that same stuff here, but it's different when you get to take a trip somewhere to, you get to go to UCLA, use the facilities where it's not, 1,000 degrees or whatnot, you know what I mean? So I think it's awesome to see them get together to do stuff like that.
How important was the offseason and will camp be in terms of just being on the same page with who's ever next to you at left guard and establishing that continuity there?
Yeah, I mean, I think just going into this offseason, I knew that as far as who would be the left guard was going to be up in the air. So I think for me, just starting out, I took it something that was kind of important to me, that whoever it was, everyone competing for that spot, I wanted to create a bond with them, because I feel like a tackle guard bond is important in terms of communication and understanding, because again, a left tackle is only as good as guard is, and vice versa. You know what I mean? So I feel like I've done a good enough job so far of starting to develop that relationship with each potential guy. So that way, as we as a spot is getting, as people start to compete for that spot, again, I feel like I should be able to pop in with whoever, and we should continue to keep the standard, if that makes sense. That's my mindset. First, if there's a guy competing for a spot and I've never spent any time with him, just one-on-one during the summer, just taking reps before camp, hey, let's come to the facility, let's do X, Y, Z, let's talk about this, tape X, Y, Z. Then they come in, and then now there's no kind of flow. So now I'm not really seeing how we're going to fit together, but I want to fit with as many people at left guard as possible. That way, when a decision's been made, there's no new startup process. I got to start over my process with this guy. It's kind of already been flowing, if that makes sense.
Perhaps left tackle is a position that draws a lot of focus, arguably faces more pressure than any other position on the line. In your opinion, what is the proper mindset to succeed at that position?
I think that the mindset for me has been that when I win a one-on-one, the ball goes down the field. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm most excited about, just being a left tackle, is that, especially with the protections that are a little bit longer plays where the left tackle tends to be a one-on-one, or the plays I tend to love the most, because kind of like halfway through the play, you're locking him up and you just know that he can't go anywhere. You start to smile a little bit. You're like, oh, dude, ball's gone. You know what I mean? Like, ball's gone, and it's going to be a touchdown. It's going to be a huge gain. So I think for me, that's kind of the mindset you kind of have to have at the left tackle spot, is that as soon as I win, like, my rep, we're going down the field. So that's just the mindset I have in terms of how well I have to prepare.
How did you hone that mindset, and were there people that helped you get there?
Honestly, I would say that mindset kind of came from college. Again, obviously, I played with a lot of great guys in college. I'm glad we have one of those guys here. You know what I mean? To throw the ball to as well, just because, again, it's one of those things, like with CJ, a left tackle, my mindset was just let CJ just do his thing, and that's my thing. I want Kyler to be able to do his thing. Don't worry about whoever's over here. Just do your thing. That's why you're here. And just throw it to Marvin. And we'll be good. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm excited about. And I feel like all that starts because of what we do on the line. So, and I think not just myself, but the entire room takes pride in, hey, like, when we do our job up front, that's how everything else goes. So let these guys we have with the ball in their hands do all that magic. We just gotta just do our job, just continue to win your one-on-one,
Just playing that spot means something special, just because of the history of that position, and just of all the greats that have played left tackle. I mean, do you ever think about just the past and the players before you who were in that spot and did great things?
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like just as a young guy in the game, I of course I like to watch the greats of the game. I like to watch guys like Whitworth, of course, Willie Anderson, he played on the right side, but again, I think continuing to watch the greats that played the game, just continue to dominate, for those guys, for me to be able to talk to them, again, to be able to learn from their story and their journey and how they developed. Of course, I understand I want my game to be able to be like theirs in a way to where it's talked about in a way of like, that's a guy you need to watch, just to watch with, the fight that he played with, the finish that he played with, and the technique he played with, because those guys played almost 20 years. You know what I mean? So, and again, I think that's something when you watch the guys, the legendary guys come before, yeah, they're strong, they're tough guys, but, I don't know, but when you're like 36, 37 years old, you're probably not as strong as you used to, but that technique and just the skill set, that's something that I admire.
You mentioned earlier about the guys going out to UCLA and kind of getting over the heat. I'm curious, when you're working out here, do you do anything outside, or do you avoid it altogether right now?
Oh, no, I'm always outside. Honestly, I don't mind the heat. I love the heat. And honestly, for me, it helps. I'm also like 320, so I kind of warm up quickly. So it's kind of nice for my warm-up. I don't have to be doing like a 30-minute warm-up. You kind of just be outside long enough, go like this, and your joints are on go. So I like it a lot.
Going back to the players that have been in the league for a while, Calvin Beachum is one of those guys that's been in the league for a decade plus. What have you been able to learn from him?
I think again, just learning how to be a pro in terms of certain things. Like for example, I'm a guy that when I like to train by myself, I like to take 1,000 reps of a set, 1,000 reps of a reach block. I'm a rep until I feel like I've done it 100 times in a row perfect. And something that Beach is like talking about in terms of being a pro. And I thought to me, that's me being a pro as a young guy. I feel like I have a lot of reps in my body, so I'm going to take a lot of reps in preparation. But Beach is a guy where it's like it's not about necessarily the quantity in terms of it's really the quality, but even more so, he's like, in your off season, you don't got to be doing something like this every single day. But when you do it, like from your first rep, even your first rep, it's not like I'm taking this rep, oh, it wasn't good. Okay, it's gonna be better on this second one. Like each rep, even when you're by yourself, is just kind of, I guess, a mindset. Like just give yourself 15 reps instead of doing 60 reps. You know, it sounds like a huge difference, but to me, I don't mind taking 60 reps. If I'm by myself and there's nobody that's waiting around on me and I'm by myself, I'll take my time and I'll do that. But just being like, I'm gonna do 15 perfect reps and I'm just gonna slow down and take all my time with stuff like that. That way your body, that way you're not doing too much before camp, you know.
Many of the guys at left guard in the mix were here last year, except for Evan. Mm-hmm. How has that relationship developed throughout the off season?
Yeah, I mean, so honestly, that's my guy. We like to compete. We've been competing in the weight room since day one in terms of just like what we consider like athletic competitions. So like even in the weight room, at the very end of the week, when we're done lifting, I'll talk to Evan and I'll be like, nah, you're staying, and we'll just do some sort of competition, whether it's grip or whether it's jump or whether it's pull-ups or something. And I don't let him leave until I beat him in at least two things. Like so if we do a jump thing, and like I've always thought I was the best I had the most height when I jumped out of O-line. I could dominate anybody in that, but he beat me in that, surprisingly. So I was like, all right, now we're hopping on a bike. And then we did this bike thing, and I beat him on a bike. I'm like, now we're doing pull-ups. Then I'll beat him on a pull-ups. Okay, now we can leave. You know what I mean? But like we just have that, and we're just always just competing. And then again, obviously, you know, he wasn't on the team with us last year, but I think what he brings to the table with being a vet is that he's like a plug-and-play guy. You know, he knows, he's been in those scenarios before. He's played with guys like Panay when he was with Detroit. So obviously just being able to talk to him and how this is how it was when I was setting with Panay, this is how it was when I was setting with the Seahawks. These are the different things that I can do that mirror some things like in your game, how you set. And I'll talk to him about what I like to do in certain scenarios and how his set can sort of match that. Does that make sense? So I think he adds a lot.
What's the longest you've stayed after until you beat him?
To the point to where a strength coach is like, you guys got to go. Like, yeah, you guys should go. You know, we're not trying to break any rules around here. But it's just me and him just going, and he loves it. You know, so, and even us starting to do that, we started to get other guys in the O-line that tried to hop in on our competition for fun. But it only matters if I beat Evan. It's just, I'm just beating you, you know. So it's fun.